Steph Curry says the Golden State Warriors won the week. They did not win Friday night against the Blazers. They did not look good. We're going to try to take some positives away from that loss. That's on today's show.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the good word, everyone? Welcome into Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now's a great time to get in with FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. We come at you Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends as well, live post-game shows. We bring you content all around the clock. Follow me on TikTok at It's Charlie Walter. Instagram, if you have your phones out right now, very much appreciate the following at CWalter22. Guest on today's show, a regular co-host, it's Matt Kolsky, formerly at 95.7 and KNBR in the Bay Area. And let's get to it. On today's show, the Blazers roll. Steph Curry, man. Didn't even get a full game to prove his worth. And man, he's worth every penny of $60 million. He was awesome. Again, speaking of awesome, Jonathan Kuminga. We'll get to Steve Kerr's words on his start to the season, which has been nothing short of exactly what we needed. And Brandin Podziemski, who Steve Kerr said has had an awesome camp, has not looked good at all. We're going to talk about that problem. But I guess the problem is that the Warriors lose the game 139-119. Now, I will say this. I've been high on the Portland Trail Blazers. I think this is a team that's coming. I think Toumani Camara is awesome. He's a great two-way player. I think Denny Avdia, when he doesn't turn it over a ton, is awesome. I think Kuminga is huge. I think Drew Holiday is a proven vet. I think Shaedon Sharpe is a rising star, and then they got a bench of Jeremy Grant and I guess Jeremy Grant. But anyways, they beat the Warriors by 20 in this game. Let's start with this box score. Steph Curry leads the way with 35 points. Kaminga joins him in double figures with 16, Butler 14, Draymond 12. Those were the dudes in double figures. Let's get the bad out of the way first, and then we'll get into some of the good. The bad is 25 turnovers. It's alarming, man. What'd you think of the performance?
Yeah, I thought it looked like a team that was kicking the ball all over the floor and probably not quite tight enough on defensive rotations. I think
Closeouts were bad.
Well, closeouts, but just like defending the perimeter is a huge challenge for this team. You know, Moses Moody was back last night, looked a little rusty, let's say. And I expect he will help with that problem, but there's a lot of guys on this team that opposing players who have a good first step can just speed right past on the perimeter, and that led to a tragic defensive performance last night. I think also we have to be realistic and say that a traveling back-to-back is probably a schedule loss for this team. Obviously, Steph Curry did his job, despite the back-to-back. But, yeah, Draymond was not great. Jimmy was really not good. Look, he's not that it's by their standard, right? They still impacted the game, but Jimmy wasn't good by his standard. He did not do the things they would have needed to win that game yesterday.
Offensively, I think you're right. I mean, 14 points. He was 3 of 7 from the floor, got to the line 10 times. Had 4 assists, only had 1 turnover. It was the Jimmy Butler we talk about during the regular season, where it's not like he's bad by any means. He's just not as aggressive. I mean, only taking 7 field goals.
Really looking to pass last night like he did it a lot of times last year during the regular season, I thought. And look, you come up against a young, hungry, athletic team, and they ran the Warriors to death. There's not too many ways about it. They hit a bunch of threes in the first 3 quarters, and once that got going and they started running up and down, I mean, you could see by the end of this game, the Warriors were dragging. I think and hope that's not a problem they're going to run into all that much, because there are only so many times that they have back-to-backs at all, much less a back-to-back where they play at home and then travel somewhere else. It's just a lot to ask from a team at this age, with all due respect. And I think that is the perspective from which Steph Curry says we won the week, right? Obviously, the Warriors intend to be a better team than the Portland Trail Blazers. There's no question about that. And I don't think there's much question that they will be. But I think what this shows you is when one of your better players sits out every back half of a back-to-back, and several of the other ones are over 35, a young athletic team can take advantage of you in that situation. And that, to me, is sort of what happened last night. So it's nothing I'm going to freak out about, but it is something that I think we have to recognize as like a consequence of fielding a team that looks like this.
And I think the scariest thing right now is that not just in the West, but in the East, there are so many young, athletic, just feisty teams. Like, there are a lot of Portlands out there. You're looking at the Pelicans, all of a sudden they look a little feisty. If Zion's playing like the way he did against the Spurs, speaking of, Spurs are definitely feisty. They're no slouch. Memphis looks to be slightly improved. So, despite losing by about 30 on Friday night.
Here's the thing, Chuck. It's those teams. Sure, those teams are feisty even when you're well rested. The Chicago Bulls will beat you if you aren't quite there right now. The Charlotte Hornets might beat you.
The Pistons will beat you. The Magic will beat you.
Definitely beat you. All these teams, right? There are very few, if any, nights in the NBA where
the Nets.
It's a real night off. It's really just the Nets right now, I think. We'll see how Phoenix develops as the
Jazz
goes
look
on.
Better.
But the Jazz, if they are not tanking, they have a good coach and some pretty good talent. Now, again, that's not to say that these are the teams challenging the Warriors, but it is to say that
you got a lot of back-to-backs.
Yeah, they're on the back half of a back-to-back. I'm not sure there's any team besides the Nets that the Warriors can comfortably count on a victory over. And that means they're going to have to do a better job against the better teams when it's not a back-to-back. And the good news is, in a very limited sample size, that's what they did.
All right, let's get to Steph Curry real quick. In his 27 minutes, and
he wasn't tired.
Steve Kerr pulled the starters with about 8 minutes to go. They were down like 16 or 18 at that point. They turned it over 21 times. It was wave the white flag time, and that's why Curry said afterwards, "I'm exhausted. I want to get some sleep. I feel good. I'm tired. We won the week. We had the professional win over the Lakers and a gritty win over the Nuggets. We'll take a 2-1 start to the season." I think fans would take a 2-1 start to the season with that 3-game stretch out of the gate and a back-to-back. And I think, honestly, you'd probably take 3-2 if they can split this back-to-back coming up Monday, Tuesday. But Curry, 12 of 22, 7 threes, a lot of them early, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He's so damn good, man. So damn good. What a start to the season Steph Curry has had, averaging 33 points per game after 3.
Yeah, and listen, to his point, winning 2/3 of your games puts you in the 50s, for wins. And that is that's significantly past the preseason over-under for the Golden State Warriors. And I think they'd be very happy with 53, 54 wins on the season. Thrilled, in fact. So we have to expect some schedule loss nights over the course of the season. And I think the Portland game was just the first of them, but Steph Curry did not approach it that way. That's for sure. I mean, he came out firing from the very beginning.
And the Warriors looked pretty good early. It was just Portland started hitting shots. Warriors kicked the ball away. And once it flipped, there was no turning back. There was some fight entering the fourth, get it down to like 10.
But then it was turnovers again. It was I've
seen enough. Yeah. And then it was Steve Kerr saying, "I've seen enough." Brandin Podziemski, he has really, really struggled for the Warriors. We're going to talk about his game. Jonathan Kuminga, for all the bad that Pajimski's brought through the first 3 games, Jonathan Kuminga, inversely, has been awesome offensively. I want to get into his defense, though, because the metrics say that the defense hasn't been great. So we'll talk the good and the bad of JK, and obviously the offense right now, it really outweighs some of the defensive struggles that he's had. But we're going to get into him, and then we're going to talk about the just talk about the team as a whole, how we're feeling after 3 games to this season. It's Matt Kolsky. I'm Chuck Walter. This is Locked On Warriors, and we will return after a word from our sponsors.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win all the time. You're always playing for the win, not just on game day. Every day, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channeling that drive into money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. It's your money, your move. Today's episode is also brought to you by DoorDash. The NBA season's heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game even more exciting. Here's what the bag drop is. Every time an NBA player scores more than 50 in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. It's not just the food, it's socks, headphones, all delivered. DoorDash has you covered for late night highlights, last minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups. So the next time someone goes off for 50, Wemby, Edwards, Luka, Shea, it's happening. Use promo code NBA50 the next day for 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. It's open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashinYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Brandin Podziemski, man. Let's actually, you know what? We'll save him for a minute. Let's get into Jonathan Kuminga. Let's talk some good. Is the first 8 minutes of the show or whatever have been somewhat negative. So let's get into some good with Jonathan Kuminga. He's been really, really good offensively, not just scoring the basketball, because the scoring has been pretty consistently like 15 to 18 points per game. It's more so just the way that he looks in the offensive flow. It looks like he's a part of this team moving forward. And that's exactly what you want. You want him to feel bought in. You want him to look like he has good vibes out there. And that's everything that Steve Kerr said about Jonathan Kuminga. In fact, let's hear from Steve Kerr on Jonathan Kuminga. This is what he said on his young star after the game. First, though, as I'm loading this, I'll give you a chance to respond to what I said on JK and how he's been playing.
Well, okay, a couple of things. First of all, I think the main point here continues to be he's playing exactly the way they've asked him to, right? Mm-hmm. Like, intelligent people can disagree about where Jonathan Kuminga's career is headed or what the best approach with him is or any of that stuff. But we know what Steve Kerr has been asking him to do. He's been asking him to do it for a couple years now, and it hasn't really happened until the start of this season, really the preseason of this season. And that's not to say Jonathan Kuminga has never done the right things, but the total change of approach, I think,
it's been consistent. It's been consistent.
That's right. He really hasn't slipped back into any of those bad habits, at least not yet. So that is incredibly noteworthy. The other thing I would say is you are right that it is not about the fact that he is scoring, but I think it very much is about how and when he's scoring those points. Because yeah, Steve Kerr knew he could score, but Steve Kerr felt that he was doing it in ways that weren't helping the team. And in these first few games, his dedication to making the right play and getting himself going by attacking the basket, like many of his points have come by creating his own shot, attacking the rim. He has not really tried to create his own three-point shots at all. He's only really taken them when it's a catch and shoot situation. So like the scoring approach has changed as well. And I think it's a credit to Jonathan Kuminga, even if you want to say he only is doing it because he finally got paid, whatever, he's doing it.
I think a big thing, because we talked about this the other day, and Kylan was saying, well, Steve Kerr kept yanking him in and out of the lineup last season, so we never got the chance to see this version. And I just completely disagree. I think he needed the offseason to really get back to the basics and figure out what was asked of him, whether he knew what was being asked of him or not. You don't think so?
No, I'm with Kylan. And I would be even more aggressive.
So you think if he,
and I would say if Steve Kerr, because last year, might not be the best example. There's some more understandable circumstances that led to last year. But even let's take your argument, right? Which is that this past offseason was a difference maker for him. I strongly believe that could have happened the previous offseason if Steve Kerr had not so consistently benched the kid at the first sign of distress for 3 years. And particularly in retrospect, but I was saying it at the time, but particularly in retrospect, the fact that he was putting a 19-year-old on the bench every time he made a mistake so that he could put guys like Anthony Lamb in the game to make more mistakes while providing less upside.
Anthony Lamb gets so much run on this show.
Well, frankly, it's criminal, man. Like that, like it's. I have to believe that if you could talk to Steve Kerr and get him to speak honestly about this, that he would tell you he regrets that. Because it wasn't just Anthony Lamb. He's just the name that pops to mind because he was so offensively bad. But there were any number of middling, low-ceiling players that went in the game. I mean, even Guy Santos, that went in the game for Kaminga because Kaminga made one bad read or one bad turnover or took a shot he shouldn't have. When I firmly believe if he had gotten more rope years ago, not just last year, but in his second and third years as well, that maybe we could have gotten to this point where he was doing the things Kerr wants him to do faster. Because every single person Steve Kerr has compared him to that he wants him to be, the Sean Marion comparison is the best example. It took Sean Marion like 8 years to get to the point of playing the way that Steve Kerr wants Jonathan Kuminga to play without ever seeing consistent court time. It's not realistic. It was a bad plan from the beginning, but none of that matters as long as we're here now, right? This is what you wanted. This is what you're getting, and he's doing it while also scoring and, having better rebounding numbers than he's ever had. So he's doing everything Kerr has asked.
Yeah, man. And through 3 games, the analytics on him, the advanced say he's been very good in half court, very good just overall on all possessions offensively. Defensively, he's been considered a poor defender. Do you disagree with the analytics? Because I know you say he may be one of the better defenders on the team. It just states poor across the board.
A couple things. I don't think he's been great so far this year, but I do think, again, he's doing more of the things Steve Kerr wants him to do. Part of the reason the stats are going to have him as a poor defender is, the main reason I would guess is because of Luka on opening night. And it seemed pretty clear to me that the strategy was don't ever reach, just put your chest into him as best you can, put your hands up, and we're going to leave you one-on-one. And if he scores 40, hopefully nobody else gets going because we're not double teaming him. And that's what happened. So he kind of got eaten alive by Luka for the sake of the team. I'm guessing that's a huge component of his stats saying bad defender. I don't think he's necessarily been his best, but he has been their best point of attack defender. It's a low bar, but that's what he's been through 3 games. So as long as his effort is on point defensively, the rest
Give him
of it
shouts
to
for
me,
the rebounds, man. Give him shouts for the 3 offensive rebounds that he had. And the offensive rebound where he immediately got it, kicked it to Curry. Curry hits the 3 and gets fouled, and he's hyped. Like it's more than just how he's playing. It's vibes too.
It's vibes too. And
we were scared about those vibes.
Yes, we were. And he, the defense part to me, if you as a player are in the right places and giving the right effort and the defense turns out bad, now we have a coaching problem. You know what I mean? Like if he was missing rotations or falling asleep, that would be different. He's gotten beat, for one game routinely by arguably the best offensive player in the league. But that's different from playing bad defense to me, if that makes sense. Like as long as he's following instructions and taking the coaching and giving his best defensive effort, if the defense is bad, like Steve Kerr's got to figure something else out. That's Kaminga's doing everything he can do.
For those of you that have been asking for years, hey, Steve Kerr, play this guy. He's been getting minutes, man. He had 24 yesterday, and sure, that's not exactly what you wanted. They all sat. It was second most on the team, behind Curry's 27 and Butler's 27. So he's been getting minutes. He's clearly a part of this rotation. If he continues to do exactly this, the return of De'Anthony Melton and the return of Seth Curry is not going to change any of this. Here's what Steve Kerr said on Jonathan Kuminga after the game.
He's made so many good passes, not only in games, but in practices. I think he's seeing the floor better. But I just like the approach. I like the vibe that he's bringing. He's confident. He definitely feels like part of the team and what we're trying to do after all the contract stuff. I just think his teammates have been so good, Jimmy and Steph, Dre, all, welcoming him back with open arms and reminding him that contract stuff is contract stuff. So JK's had a really good start to the season. I'm proud of him, the way he's playing, and I'm excited for what's ahead for him and for us.
That's the thing. He feels like he's part of the team. It was clunky last year. When Jimmy Butler joined the fold, it was clunky. They were never able to find out really how he fit in and how to utilize him, and they found that out. I will say the 4 turnovers with Draymond Green turning it over 5 and Steph Curry turning it over 4, that does prove to Steve Kerr's point to a little bit that you can't play all these guys on the floor at the same time because they turn it over a bunch, but this is one game out of a bunch. And we'll continue to monitor as we go. And so far, so good for the most part.
Yeah, man. And I just, you're right that you don't want your starting lineup to have a combined 18 turnovers, but also Kaminga turns it over sometime more often than not by driving into traffic and getting stripped. And Steph and Draymond are throwing it all over the damn place. Like, if you're looking for the culprits in yesterday's game, yes, Jonathan Kuminga should take better care of the ball. But it's Steph and Draymond. They're so wonderfully ambitious, I'll say, with their passes. And often it's not necessary. Because when the Warriors make easy, smart passes, they usually get a good shot. For years now, that's how it's gone for the last decade. When they move the ball well, they usually get a good shot without any crazy one-hand cross-court nonsense. But we're not gonna get Steph and Draymond to stop doing that now. So, Kaminga has to be the guy that's more responsible. It's a silly situation, but that is where we are.
You'll take a few turnovers in return for some of the best defense you'll ever see and 35 points on any given night.
Exactly. Steph's allowed. He's Steph. You're not going to get him to stop doing that stuff, nor should you at this point.
I mean, Kerr called him out in 2016 against the Cavs
every now
or
and
everything.
then. Yeah, in the playoffs, right? That one play. But he mentioned
said it was one of his biggest regrets was basically throwing him under the bus.
But he will every now and then in the regular season be like, we're turning it over way too much, and it starts with our leaders. Steph and Draymond need to set a better example, blah, blah, blah. But what are you going to do? Because as frustrating as it is in a game like last night, when you have way too many turnovers as a team and the game slips away from you against a Portland team that you expect to beat, that's also what creates magic,
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
It is what it is.
Steve Kerr has really, really liked Brandin Podziemski, but he also likes De'Anthony Melton, and Melton's going to be back eventually, and Pajimski's minutes will be in question if he doesn't start picking it up. We're going to get to the good and the bad of Pods. That is coming up on Locked On Warriors.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED, designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. There's no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, treatment ships directly straight to your door. The process is fast, it's simple, it's private, it's handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. Rugiet, spelled RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA. Don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Hope you did not get in on the action, at least the Warriors action yesterday, where they were 2.5-point favorites. No bueno. But you got NFL, you got World Series, you got NBA to wager on, and really any sport that's offered. Any sport that's out there, it is offered. And right now, new customers can bet just $5. You'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, $300 in bonus bets in your queue, ready to use across the app. What I love about it, live lines, just spreads in general, over-unders. It makes watching the game for a casual fan or for someone that really deep dives into the analytics so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and to get started. Let's get back to the show.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, man. Brandin Podziemski. He had the one really good preseason game where he scored 25. He had the comments made about him through a couple scrimmages where Steve Kerr said he was one of the best players on the floor, and he's been extremely impressive. Pods has been a weird case study through a couple of years because he's usually really good, really bad, or just kind of fits into the mold of being a winning player. But to start the season, he's been pretty bad, both offensively and defensively per the metrics. In this game, just 2 of 9, 1 of 3. Did have 5 rebounds. That's something he's always going to give you. He's pesky defensively and had a couple of steals, but 2 turnovers to no assists. You can't have that from a combo guard that needs to facilitate a little bit. And 8 points, you need more than that when you're playing 22 minutes and putting up 9 shots in a particular game. Are you worried about Pods, or is this just, hey, we saw this to start last year and eventually he figured it out?
I mean, I think it's both of those things to an extent, but overall, pretty worried. There's a couple things with Pods. First of all, he's not a good defender one-on-one. He's not big enough or athletic enough to be like a really good defender.
He's a good trap defender from the
he makes
side.
Exactly. He makes up for it by being really good at trapping, really good at getting his hands into passing lanes. Obviously, very, very good at drawing charges, right? So he overall presents a competent and maybe above average defensive product, but he is one of the guys on this team right now that gets beat routinely on the perimeter by good ball handlers with a good first step. So that's a problem, especially if the goal is to play him alongside Steph Curry, who has, frankly, many of the same limitations and strengths as a defender, right? He is smaller and doesn't move his feet laterally on defense the way an elite defender would, but he's smart and savvy and gets his hand, same sort of stuff, right? He doesn't get asked to do as much because of what he does on the other end, but Pods has to do that stuff at a high level to be valuable on the court. And even when he does, he's got to be valuable on offense to stay out there. So the offensive performance is deeply concerning. He doesn't, in the same way that Steve Kerr said Jonathan Kuminga feels very much a part of things on offense this year, Pods does not. He feels disconnected. And although it's not like he's he's basically the same player, but it doesn't seem like he knows where his baskets are supposed to come from right now. And that's not great for a third-year guy that everyone has been hyping up again in the offseason. And I think if we can learn anything from this experience, it's that everybody shut the heck up about Brandin Podziemski in the offseason, because we had the same problem to start last year. Like, yeah, there were injuries too, but if everyone wasn't told that he was going to shoot 10 threes a game and like step up as a significant scorer on this team last year, then maybe everyone wouldn't have been so damn disappointed when he got off to a rough start. And
he had a great year overall for any second-year player that's, only played a couple of years in college. Like he's phenomenal. He's, one of the top 12 dudes in that draft.
Right. He's a good, smart player who should be able to make a positive impact. And right now he looks a little lost. And I think part of it is he's got to find what his thing is on offense. Like, is he gonna be a 37+% 3-point shooter? Is he gonna get more of his points with that floater game that he clearly works on a lot? What is the plan for Brandin Podziemski offensively, other than like being a good connective piece? I'm not quite sure, and I'm not sure he's quite sure. Which, when is not a huge deal for a mid-level first-round pick in his third season, except that this guy is the dude we were just having a keys to the franchise conversation about 2 weeks ago. So, I think the Warriors have done him no favors.
And Draymond tried to shoot that down. Draymond's a smart guy, and he went to the podium and said, look, we got to stop talking about this guy in this light, being the takeover in a couple of years. The franchise is him. We have to stop. He's just got to be BP. He's got to play his game because, frankly, he's been excellent. But if you put these expectations, and part of them have been put on himself by himself, right? Like, part of the comments that he's come out and been very confident saying, like, I want to be an Olympian, an all-star, all these different things. Like,
you want him to say that, though, right? You want him to be ambitious.
You do, internally, to his teammates, but maybe not to the media, because when you say it to the media and it gets out there, then if you don't live up to those expectations, you're going to get grilled. Whereas, if you're just...
Chuck, I don't think people take it as seriously if the organization doesn't echo it. You know what I mean? Pods is a confident guy. He talks a lot of stuff. I think the difference between him saying it and the organization kind of backing it up is the difference between a cute piece about how Brandin Podziemski says wild things and a bunch of articles talking about whether or not he's the future of the franchise, which that to me is what hangs way too much on the shoulders of a guy who looks a lot like me.
De'Anthony Melton. He's got about 4 inches on you, Kolsky. He's a bigger dude than he gets credit for.
Yeah, he's got 4 inches and he's also got a couple inches of hair, but like the aesthetic is similar.
Yes. And for those of you not watching on YouTube, now's a good time to see the clone of Brandin Podziemski. Yes, Matt Kolsky.
Just a couple of Polish guys, you know what I mean?
Real quick, you got about 30 seconds to break this down. But De'Anthony Melton, how excited are you to eventually see him back in this rotation for all the reasons that we said about Pod struggling?
Yeah, unfortunately, all those things we just said about Brandin Podziemski, De'Anthony Melton, when healthy, is basically the opposite. He knows exactly where his offense is coming from. He is a reliable 3-point shooter. He can defend on the perimeter. He's exactly what they need right now. And the hope is that Moses Moody can do a pretty good Melton impression in the meantime. But assuming you get a representative version of De'Anthony Melton back and assuming that he's able to stay healthy for the first time in a while, that will be a huge boon for the Warriors.
Huge. And Moody, the exact words from Steve Kerr, he was just getting his feet wet out there. So expect him to play some more minutes and more significant minutes in the game against Memphis. Thank you for making Locked On Warriors the first listen of your day. For your second listen, go check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 fantasy basketball podcast. He'll give you your daily tips. He'll help you win your league, all while making you a smarter NBA fan. Josh is great. He's an Aussie. Go find out fantasy basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Kolsky, good stuff. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Peace.
Next time we lead with Aussie. Everybody wants to listen to an Aussie.